Hi.
Hello.
How you doing? I always say how you doing and no one answers.
No. How rude. Happy Friday.
TGIF.
Yeah.
We have Freddie Mercury coffee.
And my usual. Drink coffee. Do stupid things faster with more energy. I love that mug. Cheers.
But more importantly, Katie has provided
Gluten-free 11s.
I know, so I'm totally going to stuff my face with those.
Yeah.
During this conversation.
There would have been 2 more of the ones on the top. Well, they were. They did exist.
Yeah. But you sound like they went in you though, but we had one each.
We did have one each. It was just one each.
Yeah.
Here we are. We have a new friend to introduce to everyone.
This is our blue microphone.
He needs a name. Actually, I've decided it's a boy. Am I being a gender stereotype over a microphone?
I don't know if we should mention what we were talking about beforehand about the microphones.
No,
So,
let's not go there.
in which case, it is a boy.
So, yes, very true. It is a boy. So, give us a name for the microphone, please. Answer on a postcard.
You can't call him Michael. I already tried that one.
You tried it, but he doesn't sit it.
I sent it to you, didn't I? That recording of me testing it, and you just called me a knob.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, how do we do this every time we start like this and then we get to some quite profound places?
Yes, eventually. I was just saying before we started this, wouldn't it be fun if we did like a getting to know you thing? And I said, because we don't really know each other that well.
We don't. You might think we do, but we really don't.
We've known each other, what, a year? I reckon?
It's coming up for a year. It's not even a year yet.
It's a year.
Since I slid in your DMs.
Yeah, this will happen. And I thought it would be funny.
Okay.
And so you have some conversation cards.
I do.
But also, just the other day, like we did that, what would you take on a desert island thing?
It wasn't it the one about if you were a Barbie or like a doll? What
was the accessories?
What were your
not a
2
desert island.
accessories?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember what yours were?
I remember what I said to you. I think it was half calf and I can't remember, but I've changed my mind because it's got to be a self-help book is one of them. Some sort of cheesy self-help book.
Okay, and a half calf.
And a half calf. What was yours?
I'm not going to tell you what the second one was.
Oh, I know. The first one, I remembered it was
a chapstick.
Chapstick, yeah.
And my second one would be another chapstick, in case I lose the first one.
Yeah,
or run out.
Not what you said at the time.
No.
So we could ask each other questions, but I have, because my work over the last 20 years, whatever it's been, has always been about in the moment processing of information, not retention of information. Yeah. It's processing of information.
Okay, look, we're going to do it. We're going to do a really simple one. What's my favourite colour?
Oh my god!
And what's yours? I don't know what yours is.
So
I'm going to guess
I
as
know
well.
what your favourite colour is.
My guess for you.
Surrounded by a rainbow of colours.
I know, but my guess is red because you have a red wall in your kitchen and you have a red car.
Oh.
And you're wearing red on you now.
Oh. You'd be pretty close. Red is one of my favourite colours. Yeah.
What is it?
Okay. I don't really have one, is probably the truth.
Oh, I like that.
That's annoying, isn't it, really? Mm-hmm. I go in phases. Green. I love a bit of green.
Mm-hmm.
But red is up there as well.
Okay.
So, oh no, your favourite colour. Oh no. I don't know if I know the answer to this one. I don't know, Luke. What is it?
Just pick one.
Just pick one. Yellow.
That's exactly it. Oh, no! Well done.
Hey!
Good.
That was
Cheers
fantastic.
To that.
Cheers.
See, we do know each other.
Look at that. And I've instinctively given you Freddie on a mug today, which is yellow as well.
He's in yellow.
He's in yellow. Iconic. There we go. Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like I knew you all along.
What's your favourite colour, Mike?
Blue. Should we maybe do what we came here to do?
What, shame?
Shame. So I have to get a Game of Thrones reference in. Luke's never seen it.
No, but also, I said, shame, I'm going to live forever.
Yeah.
But I've never seen Fame.
You've never seen Fame. And then I called him a fake gay.
Yeah, what kind of gay am I?
What kind of gay are you?
I
You've
know.
never seen...
I've not seen Flashdance either.
Oh, Luke.
Or Mary Poppins.
Oh, that actually hurts. No Mary Poppins. Oh my goodness. I used to sing Mary Poppins around my house.
Of course you did.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Well, to be fair, for years I thought I'd seen Mary Poppins, but it turns out it was Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Different movie,
it's got
yeah.
a guy in it from
That's
Mary
it.
Poppins. Yes.
I don't know. It just seemed like the same thing to me.
But no, it's not. No, Mary Poppins is fabulous. Right, we're going to rectify the situation.
If you insist. Right.
So
shame.
Shame. What? I think this was yours, wasn't it? You came up with this idea. Is there something that...
Yes. So you know the phrase, "Oh, she's got no shame," or that person's shameless. That kind of suggests that shame is a good thing to have. That's always baffled me. What's that about?
Yes, that's a very good point, actually. They should be ashamed of themselves. There is that as well, isn't there? It's shameful behaviour.
But shame is the good thing to have. And I think, I'm a little bit ignorant in this subject, but I think that it might stem from religion.
I would agree. It's without naming religions, I think it's a very, this idea of controlling your behaviour, maybe aligning in some way with morals and things, but
and for some reason, every time I think about does she have no shame, it comes to my head in an Irish accent. I don't know if that's because I've been watching Derry Girls.
Shame. I don't know. Does she have no shame?
Yeah, I think it might be a Derry Girls thing. I don't know. But then, that was the link to religion for me as well, without naming religions. But, it's such a big thing, isn't it? It's
really curious.
I think the parenting is so, like I said, massive shame game.
What do you mean now, or do you mean the parenting maybe you've experienced as a child yourself? Do you think?
No, I think now, being a parent, I just think parents. We've had this conversation before. Parents don't really talk honestly.
No, this is true.
And it's all often just a bit of a show. And because I think there's so much shame around it. Oh, I'm getting it wrong. I'm not doing it right. Other people don't do it like the way I do it, so I should be doing it differently. But when you actually talk to a parent, kind of real to real, you realise that we're all just in it,
winging it.
We just don't know what we're doing.
Nobody knows what
and we're all
doing.
making mistakes left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
And one of my good friends messaged me this morning, and just said, "I feel like a shitty parent today," and then listed this whole thing, and I was like, and if that's your example of a shitty parent, then I'm a shitty parent every day, because
gosh, yeah.
I think we all carry this shame, and I think parenting is one of the most highly pressured things that you can do, and I think it's one of the most judged things, or at least that you would feel judged about.
Agreed, because you are responsible for another person's life, or multiple other little people's lives, and shaping their worldview. As well, and how they go about life and what they say to other people. And I guess you feel it's a reflection of you in some way, don't you, how they behave? So, I think it's interesting. Shame as a parent. I did feel it. When I felt it the most strongly was when my firstborn was a baby, because I couldn't breastfeed. I just couldn't do it. I think I've talked about this before. I now know to do that, you have to have oxytocin flowing through your body, which is a happy hormone. Otherwise, biologically, you're incapable of doing it.
And let's be real, what parent of a newborn baby's happy?
Well, some of them are gloriously, it would seem, or at least that's the message I was getting, from other mums, was that they were doing it really well, and I was failing.
Not just exhausted and done in after carrying something for 9 months, pushing it out your body, and then having no sleep.
And also known I'd lost a lot of blood as well, so I was iron deficient, and excuse me. Yeah, I think there was. So for me, the shame. That's when the shame. I really, really felt it as a parent, because I just. I couldn't do it, and then I didn't want to do it. Actually, that was more shameful. I didn't want to do it because I was losing who I was. I was losing my sense of identity, stuck to a sofa trying to feed a baby for hours. I remember one day I was literally sitting with an odd loo break for about 10 hours trying to feed my baby, and I just thought, I'm losing my grip on reality here, and I'm into reality. I quite like living in reality. No, I wasn't happy. So that's when I felt the shame, I suppose.
Did anyone ever say anything to you that would have backed up that feeling of shame? Or was it all your perception of what people were thinking?
I think it's a really good question. I think I was misled by my NCT classes. Other classes are available. It was very natural, and I'd had the message, anyone can breastfeed with the right support. So I just kept thinking, well, I haven't got the right support then, because I can't do it, so I'm doing something wrong. So there was that. And then there were some people I knew who I perceived certain judgy looks from, which I probably did see it you know, but also probably overthought it.
And who did you talk to anybody at the time about that might have been through or going through the same thing?
I talked to my mum, actually. She was really helpful because she said, I never breastfed you. I couldn't do it.
Well, our generation actually probably was mostly bottle fed. I think I only learnt that recently.
I can believe it. Yeah, my mum bottle fed me, and there's an awful lot of stigma attached to it, and it was, I felt so much guilt because all you want to do, it's not so much, maybe it's shame or guilt, or are they both interlinked? All you want to do is the best. I think that's what we forget, isn't it? When we judge people, we all want the best, don't we? We want the best for ourselves and for each other, mostly. I mean, unless you're actively trying to harm a child, I don't know anybody that's tried to do that. Most of us are trying our best. So we should go easier on ourselves. But yeah, it was an interesting time to look back on with hindsight. And I guess for you, because it wouldn't have crossed your mind because you didn't have that.
No, but also
that capability.
Do you know where my shame was?
Where was yours?
I'm not a mum.
Oh.
My children don't have a mum. Do they need a mum? I don't know. Oh. But you know, if I were to go to a group, it's it's very much a mum's club, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I said before, possibly on one of these lives, I went to a mum's group once and accidentally made eye contact with somebody who was breastfeeding, and I felt so awkward and embarrassed and shamed because I got a few looks that I never went back.
That's sad, isn't it?
And I was like, I don't like boobs.
Even though I'm a fake gay,
Yeah.
I don't like boobs.
And I had a real hard time finding a place to fit in when I first became a parent. And eventually I found a little dance group for my daughter, and I fit in there quite well, and that was good. But it took me a long time and a lot of different groups, or even to step through the door into those things to feel comfortable enough to attend.
So was the shame linked to the looking at this other woman and what they were potentially thinking, or was the shame linked to something else?
I don't know. Even like another really silly thing, and I'm fine now, but at first I couldn't even bring myself to sing along with the nursery rhymes. I felt, because when you've got a group full of women, voices are different, and you hear a man's voice amongst a group of women, it sticks out. I don't have a singing voice. Not that anybody cares for nursery rhymes, but I was so self-conscious, and then I felt ashamed that I couldn't bring myself to sing the nursery rhymes with them.
Gosh. So you were ashamed of your own gender at that point. And
yes, that's accurate. I was ashamed of my own gender because it's not the norm for a child to have two dads. I get that it's becoming more accepted, and more families are like that, but it's not the norm. And good old Great White South, where we live, it's not particularly diverse.
It's really not diverse around here, is it?
Yeah. I found it's different now, and again, I've moved my daughter to schools, and there's a lot more diversity where we are, and I don't really feel that way now, and also I'm a lot more confident as a parent now.
Yeah, I think you have to go through some stuff to realise it actually doesn't matter at the end of the day. But you have to work on yourself to get to that position.
Yeah, you think that you've worked on yourself and you're good and that you're ready to have this child, and then you get it, and you're like, oh, it's another layer.
Yeah, I know nothing. I know nothing.
Nothing.
It's interesting what you said though about the shame seemed to be linked to a sense of belonging somewhere, like you wanted to belong.
Yeah, you know that phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. Never felt like I've had a village. So I wonder if there's something, linked to that. There must be a belonging thing for me anyway, because I never really fit in, ever. I quite like that.
I was going to say
now,
yeah,
because I've learned that it can be a superpower.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and also, what does fitting in mean? Actually, I think that's curious. What does fitting in mean?
For me, it's like being normal, like everyone else.
Normal, though. I'm going to push you on this. What does that mean?
Normal, all right.
What's
Mrs.
normal?
Thinking.
Yeah. Sorry, I ask questions.
I guess, like the status quo. I guess what. Generic, maybe is another word. I don't know. I don't want to say too much without insulting people.
No, that's fine. That's okay.
Because you know me, I'll go on and start insulting people by accident.
Okay, but it's something about fitting in still, about being. It's that tribal thing we've talked about
It's
before.
a tribal thing, yes. Interesting.
Yeah.
But even aside from having children, and back to this kind of do they have no shame thing, like, why do people say that? In what circumstances do people say that? And often I find it's, more often than not, I think it's directed towards women. I might be wrong, but they could be wearing something a little more revealing, and then someone will go, do they have no shame? You know what I mean? Or it can be as simple as that, even though if you were to go to the swimming pool, you'd see more of their body.
Yes, absolutely. Context has changed. Yeah, I think there's an awful lot of shame directed towards women, but women do it to women as well. Yeah. I can imagine when you were saying, does she have no shame? That to me sounds like this is maybe show stereotype here and a judgment. Sounds like something an older woman might say about a younger woman, perhaps. So if we take that to be an example, what is going on there? Is it that we didn't do that in my day?
Oh, I was just about to say, generationally, things have we have changed. Society has changed quicker and evolved quicker than it ever has in history. Yeah. So I think that there's bigger divides between generations now than there ever were in history. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you can pretty much do anything you want these days. There's no. I think culturally, it's different in the UK at least. I think there are sort of anything goes pretty much. So yes, you could see that split from when somebody was young back in their day. Things were very different. Are we talking though in that example? Is that about somebody who was suppressed and actually resentful?
Yes, and that's what I was thinking. If you think generationally, our parents would have been baby boomer generation. I don't know, yours might be born in the war.
In the war, yeah.
So their method of being raised would have been through command and control. Because and fear, right? Well, command and control comes through fear, right? Because it was survival. They were literally in survival mode. Yeah. Right? But when we don't have to fear physically dying every day, we have so much more freedom. And so as generations have gone past from the war up until now, every generation has had more and more and more freedom and less fear. And so I think that a lot of this shame context and the judgment by using that word shame comes from people that only know command and control, people that have to stay in line, and anybody that steps out of that line poses a risk. It's a vulnerability to step out of line. It's the Japanese proverb, isn't it, about hammer the nail that sticks out.
Okay. Gosh, is that a proverb? Really?
Yes, they're kind of. I don't want to get too stereotypical, but my understanding, we love Japan, and I used to study Japanese, and so we know a fair bit about Japan. And there's kind of the two ethoses in the culture. One is hammer the nail that sticks out, and the other is harmony. And so you'll never necessarily see an argument out there because it's all about harmony. But so you never truly know what people are feeling. And then when you go on public transport in the morning, everybody wears the same thing: grey trousers, white shirt. Every single person. It's like there's a national uniform to go to work.
Even now.
Yeah, except when you see the youngsters. You always get a few quirky people or youngsters or whatever, but every business person as such. Okay. So there's that conformity, right? And anything that steps outside of that conformity is a threat. And so is that where that comes from? Is it a threat to what they know as safety and stability and normality? Is freedom a threat?
Yes, or self-expression.
Yes.
Self-expression is arguably what is going on, isn't it, in the examples? When you're thinking about clothing, that's self-expression. That's is liberation. But it's being seen as well, isn't it? It's look at me, which is self-expression. So yes, I guess that is a threat. It's a threat to collectives. Yes, eat cake.
Okay, do you want cake?
No, I'm not going to have cake. I'm going to watch you eat cake.
Oh my God, okay.
They look really good.
What are these called? I keep forgetting.
Bakewell tarts.
Bakewell tarts, yeah, that's it. I was going to say Battenberg, but it's a different
It's
thing.
not a Battenberg.
Oh my God, I love a Battenberg.
Do you?
Yeah.
No. That's about as icingy as I can go.
I've never seen a gluten. Well, Battenberg's not icing, is it? It's
Are you failing?
Yeah, I'm failing. It's marzipan, isn't it?
It is, I think.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, but it's also got creamy stuff and lots of food colouring in it. Just makes it
delicious
lovely.
numbers.
Lovely. You've ruined my train of thought now, Luke.
Sorry, crack on.
Don't know. What was I saying? Don't know. There was something in there about self-expression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I had a chat with a friend yesterday, and if she happens to be watching, she will know what we were talking about. It was a chat of a political vein and how you see it in politics, don't you? New people coming in, threatening old ways, stirring things up.
I'm conscious that Mike is listening to me chew.
Oh yeah, no, does it not? Have you not pressed the cake setting?
Eliminate Battenberg. No, not Battenberg. Yes,
Yeah.
You're right. Actually, it's a threat. New ideas, new behaviours, new expression threatens what has always been. Mm-hmm. And, the majority of people don't like change.
And actually, if you think about that, so now I'm thinking about being a health coach, and I know I provided this cake. I thought today was a cake day. The human body craves stability. It craves the status quo because the status quo is keeping you alive. It's safety. So maybe we're hardwired in some way to be fearful of change because it represents a threat to our stability. It's been said, never in human history have we had so much variety of flavour and stuff available to us and texture in food. You look at things like at Christmas. I sent a friend of mine a picture. I couldn't believe it. I think it was Christmas pudding flavoured crisps. Like, what's going on in the world? We don't need Christmas pudding flavoured crisps. Now, inherently, we should be hardwired to go, that's weird. That's obviously weird. But, even like really, really spicy foods or really exotic looking things, we're kind of hardwired not to eat them. That's why kids are really fussy, is because eating the same foods over and over and over again, his safety is keeping me alive while I'm still little.
Do you think there was like some team meeting or party or something at Walker's and they got a bit drunk and they were like, I know what we can do.
Christmas pudding in a crisp is what the public clearly wants it. Yeah, I'm just like, honest to God. Really? We're really messing around with our own intuition here because, we shouldn't be going around a shop going, oh, I'll try that. Oh, I'll try that. It's fun, but it's not in our natural instinct, actually. It's not in our survival instinct. So we've kind of skewed it all up a little bit. But yeah, I think it's in our instinct to try and keep things largely the same.
And it's predictable.
Yeah.
There's a control aspect as well, isn't there, about if things are predictable, then you're in control. And when things aren't predictable, you're not in control.
Yeah, and control means the status quo, means everything stays the same, means safety. Yeah, so you could kind of rationalise it like that, I suppose.
From a safety perspective, you would hammer down the nail that's sticking out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. But, so what are we saying, though, about shame? Does that make, going back to the original point, does that make shame useful in some contexts?
Ooh, that's a question.
Because we do say it, and we do have the sayings in our society. And I think the ones you've mentioned, I would challenge and say, well, they don't matter. But then I'm an independent thinker, and I like to be a bit different, and I like to get people thinking and doing things differently, just because I think we need it. So I guess I would say that. So is shame ever useful? Have you ever had that feeling of being ashamed of something? I do remember that as a child, like, oh, I've done something wrong. Daily? Tell me more.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a gobshite sometimes.
Gobshite, yeah. Gentle gobshite, I would say.
I'm generally nice about it.
So answer the question. When do you get shame? And do you feel it's useful?
It's useful from a self-awareness perspective.
That's interesting.
To look at, what have I done wrong that I could do better next time? Where are my blind spots? Or, we all have times when we don't behave very well. all of us. And to say that we don't would be ridiculous, because we're all human. And they will continue to happen. We can strive to get better, but we'll still make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's good from a self-reflection and self-awareness perspective if you are keen and interested on improving yourself.
Where do you feel shame? Because I've noticed when I feel shame, it's a bodily feeling.
I hate these questions.
Do you not like? You're not very. What's the word? Interoception or whatever it is. Do you ever
as
notice?
a yoga teacher, I'm actually very aware of my body.
Of course.
Because GPs don't like that when you're aware of your own body. But what was the question?
Where do you feel shame in your body?
But I remember going to a counsellor before. I think several therapists I've worked with of different kinds. Where do you feel it? And I'm like, I don't know.
Fair enough. Yeah, so you don't know. So because I would say when I have to sit with it a little bit and try and remember that feeling of shame. It's sort of a radiating feeling. It's almost in my heart, like my heart hurts. I've done something wrong. I'm ashamed of myself. It's right in the core of my being. It's not like a chill up the back of my neck, which would be fear, or something in the pit of my stomach, which might also be fear or nerves or anxiety. It's a heart feeling. I think that can be, I know it's difficult to tune into. I think that can be really useful just to see where different things hit you, because often that tells you something.
Yeah, I've always really struggled with that. The only time I can say that I've really been super crystal clear where something hurts is a broken heart. Because that's like the shittiest pain ever. I'd break my leg 10 times over and then do that again.
No.
So
don't do that then.
No. That's the only thing I can think of where I've really intensely felt something in my body. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe because nothing compares to that sort of thing. So
yeah, it's one of the serious ones, isn't it?
That's the reason there's so many songs about it.
About love, heartbreak. No, I was just going to say, if you felt shame, or like, where do you feel it? Have you felt it? Is it like I'm curious about those sorts of things. But yeah, what else then? Where have we got to? What are we saying about shame? We're saying.
Well, we're starting to decide if it's useful.
Yeah.
Do you find it useful?
I think so. I think I felt shame and we were talking about this the other day. Relationships ending, friendships ending, which is something we thought we might talk with you about.
Yes, my friends asked us to talk about that, and we had a good discussion about that. Could get a bit raw, but we think it's important.
It could get
so maybe raw. Next week.
So maybe, yeah.
Or no, you're away next week.
No, I'm in a field next week. Sorry. So I think, yeah, for me around that, there's some stuff around there where I look back at things that I did, but I was not really conscious of what I was doing, and I've gained awareness since then. And so I look back maybe with a bit of, it's shame and sort of irritation and guilt, and yeah, there's a few feelings in there.
That's really interesting, because I can think of relationships, not necessarily romantic, but friendships and things as well, where I've behaved and looked back and gone, oh, that's a bit iffy. What I've done is, if I really value a person, even if it's been years and years later, I have tended to go back and apologise. So I've got a really good friend that I've maintained a friendship with for for years and years and years, and I just didn't treat him very nicely once upon a time, and we've never necessarily fallen out about it, but I definitely hurt him, and I have spoken to him several times over the years about it, because we still maintain a good friendship, and we're both in a really good place with each other. I recently went, he got married last year, went to his wedding and stuff, so nice. It's really, we're in a really good place, and we have a really nice friendship, but I felt able to address some of that stuff and extend my apologies for my own behaviour. I haven't necessarily done that with every person that I've messed up with, because there are some people that have either eliminated themselves or I've eliminated from my life. Yeah. And sometimes there's stuff on both sides of that coin, and if one party isn't willing, then it's not as straightforward. But that is one particular situation I can think about where I've used that shame to firstly correct behaviour, but also to almost strengthen the relationship actually going forward.
Yeah, and that's lovely to do that, because that shows growth and shows that you care about somebody. And that's, I have done that with one person who I was still in touch with, and then there's a couple of others that we've just, there's nothing there to save.
Did you see my thing this morning about let them?
Let them. I think I started reading it and then was distracted. Big surprise. So I need
really
to.
Good.
Okay.
The concept being, if somebody thinks or feels a certain way about you or says certain things about you, regardless of whether you did something right or wrong, just let them. If they don't want to accept an apology, then just let them. If that apology is never going to happen, just let them be, and hopefully they'll let you be.
That is the ultimate in boundaries, isn't it? Recognising I can't control this situation, and neither should I try to.
Yeah.
I can do what I can do. Ultimately, that's your choice, and this is my choice, and we just have to leave it, let it be. Yeah, that's emotional maturity.
Cheers to that, even though my cup's on the floor.
Yeah. Cheers. Think.
So I think that shame. I think what we've established is shame can be useful from a personal growth perspective if we're using it for ourselves. But to shame another, probably not so useful. No,
and actually you probably have a duty to question what that is happening for. Why do you feel the need to be that way with that person? What is it bringing up in you? And if you are the recipient of somebody who is trying to shame you, what do you think they're trying to do? And do you think you need to own that feeling, or is it one you can just drop out in the ether and let them deal with?
Let them.
Yeah, let them
think that.
You don't have to accept, what you're given. There's a great, was telling me, one of my clients from last year at some point, I was an NHS client, said to me, she realised, and this is on the topic, that there was a lady she worked with who used to come up to her with a piece of paper, and she'd talk to her with this paper held out, and this client of mine realised that her instinct was to take it, and that on the paper was more work for her to do, even though the lady had not said, I want you to do this. She just held it out. And she had this moment of awareness, and I thought it was so lovely and clear that if she didn't take the paper, she didn't have to do what was on it. Why are you just handing me this piece of paper? And I think we go around life like that a lot. People try and give us their stuff, but we don't have to take it, I thought that was such a nice metaphor for personal responsibility. If somebody is in a crappy mood or they're trying to say something about you or to you, you don't have to take it on board if you don't want to. It's a choice. So that was just something I thought I'd throw in the mix.
That's interesting, yeah. It's a tricky one, I think. Shame is multifaceted. I think it can come from lots of different angles. And I think if it comes from judgment and unkindness, probably not a lot of use. Not yours to hold. Possibly something going on with them.
Give the piece of paper back.
Do you ever feel shame about actions from your past that you can't go back and correct, or you can't, even if you apologise for it, wouldn't make any difference? Is there stuff that keeps you awake at night?
That's a really good question. Not anymore, I don't think. I think I've made peace with it. I was at that point in my life. That was who I was. I did some things I'm not happy about, but I can't change it. Is it serving me to rethink it over and over again? No. Is it making me happier, a better person? No. Is it helping that person? No.
So
let it be.
That was a loaded question, and you took the bait really well.
Thanks.
Because you said peace, right? And what I was going with was forgiveness. Because there's a lot of, we all make stupid mistakes, and there's a lot of things I look back and I'm like, well, nothing I can do about it. I can replay it over and over and feel like a moron. Or
you feel like a moron. I thought everyone else was a moron.
Yeah, I'm not excluded from everybody else. I just like to call out morons, including my own moronic behaviour.
Moronic.
I've lost my train of thought.
That was me. I took the bait.
Yes, so forgiveness, but there's, as you say, you get to a point where you're like, I have to just accept that was who I was, that was what I did, and be okay with it, and just say either forgiveness or peace with it. Almost kind of like, there's that book that I've talked about before, Sumo, which is shut up and move on. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, you do.
Because you can't hold on to everything. And I see people I know and love that just hold on to so much bitterness and resentment, and whether, sometimes that shame is wrapped up in complicated circumstances with other people, and then they maybe project that, it's their fault, or it's then maybe subconsciously or more deeply, like actually it's my fault or it's both of our fault, but never resolve, never get over, never just get to a place of acceptance and peace. And I see that so many times, and I just think I've had to do a lot of work just to those complicated situations, just to find kind of acceptance and peace with it, on my part and their part and whatever. I think shame is often wrapped up in really complicated bundles, and then people don't want to deal with any of it, and it just turns to bitterness and resentment,
which is not serving you. Fundamentally, it's useful to look at your past and use it as fodder for the future, and but that's what it's for. It's for now and going forward. I think it's for maintaining integrity in your behaviour going forward. So you've got to learn from it, so you take something from it. Otherwise, if you take the whole thing, it just is toxic, and you're right, it will just makes you
bitter, resentful, angry, miserable, hurt, self-hating, self-loathing.
And then you're no good to anyone, are you?
No, yourself.
No, or yourself. But then I think, kids watching what are you teaching them?
I think that's one of my most valuable lessons as a parent, is that I have to show my children I'm imperfect, I make mistakes, I apologise when I make mistakes, and I try better next time. And I might make that same mistake again, but I apologise again and I try better next time.
Yeah.
Because I think there's this false expectation that if we've made a mistake and we try to correct our behaviour, that we must be perfect going forward. But the reality is we will regress, we will repeat behaviours, we will do stupid things. Just because we've learned a lesson doesn't make us perfect.
No.
And I think that there's too much expectation to kind of maintain that every step of growth you must maintain that step. Sometimes it's a dance and we can step backwards.
Oh yeah, to embed things that you've been trying to learn. Well, and also you're teaching your children just how to handle situations, right? Like how I've made a mistake, right? How am I going to deal with it? And there's nowhere better than your own kids to go. Look, I shouted then. I'm really sorry. I've been feeling this way and this way. It's no excuse, really. I took it out on you, and
just
owning it. Yeah, absolutely. So then they know they can also make mistakes, and that's okay. They don't have to have this perfect behaviour.
Do you know that phrase, when you know better, you do better? It really bugs me, because I think we can know better. It doesn't mean that we do better. Sometimes we still make the wrong decision. Sometimes we still do the wrong thing. And that's that, again, image of perfection. I know better, so I should do better. And then that shame and guilt comes in because you haven't done better, even though you know better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's kind of this perpetuating cycle. But what about if we just went, okay, I know better, I'll try and do better, and if I mess up, I'll try again next time.
Yeah, exactly.
But rather than beat ourselves up, because I don't think as humans we always make, just because we know better, that we make right decisions. We will still make bad decisions.
Well, and there's also the risk, isn't there, of bypassing, and I was talking about this with you the other day, that if you try and sort of scrub over your mistakes and just almost ignore them to try and seem like this perfect person, you're not actually dealing with it. Dealing with it means living through bad decisions and, mistakes, and over and over and over again until they instinctively, you don't do them, I think,
I think it's really easy with kids to bypass. I think, because you're an authoritative figure to them, you might make a mistake and then you just expect them to accept it, and you don't necessarily talk about it or address it or rectify it. You just then move on and ignore it like it never happened. And I think that is a lot of what I experienced growing up, was adults making mistakes and then never addressing it or talking about it. And then it just becoming the norm. But I would it would be much healthier, and I try with my kids, for the norm to be still make the mistake, but deal with it, talk about it, address it, apologise, not just leave it for a counsellor to fix like 30 years later.
Yes. Yeah, and not to pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, Do you think that's the sweeping things under the rug generation? Like, well, we don't air our dirty laundry in public and all this sort of, you know, I've aired so much dirty laundry. You've seen all of my dirty laundry. Everybody's seen it. Because that's the reality of life.
But then if you air your dirty laundry, has she got no shame?
I've got no shame. Well, I don't really.
So is that phrase, kind of full circle, designed to suppress?
I think maybe. Is that the conclusion we're reaching?
I think so.
I think maybe it is. Shame is suppression of self-expression. That always rhymes.
Ooh, that's nice.
Shame is suppression of self-expression. #
Copyright Katie Delaney.
I think it's something along those lines, isn't it, really? Is it suppression? Suppression of making not us make a mistake.
I think that's a big thing, isn't it? And we've got this whole thing going on about narcissists at the moment. It's very much a buzzword. But I think that, you don't admit to making a mistake. You brush over a mistake. I have a family member who fundamentally will never admit that they're wrong. Ever. And will argue to the nines that they are right, even when, like the arguing black is white thing.
Yeah.
Right? Fundamentally will never admit that they're wrong. And it infuriates me, but I have to try my hardest to understand where that comes from. And is it a place of, shame? Is it, I have to be perfect. I can't admit that I'm wrong. I don't make mistakes. It's interesting to me. But it's so common. It's such a common behaviour.
It's really common. I have a family member who has been known to, if we're arguing and I'm right, they've been known to change the argument to one that they can win. Subtly, mid-conversation. And I've had to go, Reno, stop a minute, stop. I'm just going to think about this. And that's how I get around it. I'm like, no, that's a different point. You're arguing. No, let's get back to what we were talking about before. You have to be careful. There are some people that want to.
That will fundamentally never say sorry.
I get it. We just have to extend compassion to ourselves, don't we, really? And to them. If there's love there, that's, again, they're making a mistake. And they maybe can't see it. So, compassion.
Good old heads in the sand.
I know. Well, not you and I, eh? Firmly in reality.
Firmly airing our dirty laundry and wearing our hearts on our sleeves and whatever, all of those other...
And a stain on my jumper somewhere, which I did try to get rid of before today, but whatever. It's the reality of life.
Looking in that area,
No, I didn't think, well, please don't. Now you really can't.
Don't want to get kicked out of the toddler group.
This isn't a toddler group. What do you think?
All right, well, there we go. What do you think about shame? What's your experience?
Yeah.
And
let us know.
Do you want us to talk about ending friendships?
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be a raw one, I think.
It's a good follow-up to this, though.
Yeah.
It's very related.
I think we should.
So thank you to the person that suggested that we do that. But it's going to be raw.
And
we're going to have to try not to be bitchy.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be. I also have to admit to my own mistakes. I will be admitting my own mistakes here.
Yeah.
So.
Right. We'll see how that goes.
Give us a name for the microphone as well.
Not Michael.
For some reason, that's not allowed.
No.
So.
All right. Bye, everyone.
See you later, folks.